Hello, my name is Tracily Nimley, and I am a health and PE teacher. And for my assignment for Data Talk, the assessment context is based on nutrition. I chose a current lesson that I just taught K through second grade about nutrition. I love to definitely dive into teaching them about that because it's very important as you get older. And what they did was I taught them my plate and what is required as healthy and not healthy. And then I have them give me examples. I had them talk about exercises that are good for the body. Um, what name some exercises, and also like the next day that I saw them, they did an assessment for me. So for my assessment context, student completed a nutrition worksheet based on mind plate food groups. The purpose was to evaluate their understanding of the five food groups, which are fruits, vegetable, protein, greens, dairy, and their ability to correctly identify examples in each category. The learning targets for my students were to identify the five food groups correctly and categorize um, the foods. So, like, they are supposed to look at, I had on the board a bunch of foods, and they had to be able to categorize it in the different food groups to check for their understanding. And they had to make connection between nutrition and a healthy lifestyle. The assessment method was a written activity, which I give them. I chose a written so they can elaborate and share with me, where students added their own food examples to each category and included a physical activity. So I had them um, organize the food and give me their own example, an extra example from their understanding, and then pair with a physical activity. So the data tracker analysis, I track student data using a simple checklist. I normally have my clipboard where I have a checklist, and I kind of like, not necessarily a spreadsheet, but it was like kind of in a format of a spreadsheet looking like one. So each student's responses were organized by food groups, and marked as correct or incorrect. And then the data was analyzed by looking at accuracy, common errors, and overall completion. Like, were they able to complete the assignment? And I focus on identifying patterns in misconceptions and areas where students show strong understanding. For individual that master the lesson, knew what they were talking about, can give example. I look at how many categories each student's completed. And for class, for as a whole, I look at the percentage of students who correctly identify most of all of the food groups. So, like, if they only left out one, but they're able to identify it all, that's what I look at. And overall, students perform pretty well with fruits and vegetables. Some don't having problems with protein, but that's something that they had to really understand what is protein. However, there are some misunderstanding with like vegetables, like especially tomatoes, understanding if it's a fruit or vegetables. And then with that, it just showed partial understanding. In conclusion, what I draw from my data, the class showed partial mastery of learning targets. Most students could identify basic food groups, but some struggled to correctly categorize certain foods, especially in vegetables and greens. Um, for me, it just shows that the fundamental knowledge is there, and deeper understanding is still developing with the concept between certain vegetable being a fruit or a vegetables, and then some having problem understanding protein. Especially when I see Greek yogurt, when it has protein on there, that's thinking that, well, it's protein, it's not dairy. Well, it's kind of both. Them having to understand the concept, but students communication, I communicate the assessment results both as a whole group and individually. As a class, we review common mistakes, we talk about it before leaving, and we discuss correct food groups examples. We even play a game to check for understanding. And individually, students receive feedbacks from me on their, like, as a whole, and also on the worksheets, including corrections and guidance. Students were also given opportunities to reflect, make corrections, and improve their understanding through follow-up activities. Um, in closing, this assessment helped me to identify both strength and areas of growth, and it will also guide me for the next, like to say, if I want to teach it for for 3 to 5, so it will guide me for the next steps to better support student understanding of nutrition for the older grade levels. Well, that completes my data talk assignment. I truly actually love teaching um, nutrition, because I really feel like that's something we miss, because it's natural to do the fitness part, but to really put in the work for nutrition, it takes a whole nother level of understanding. But starting them at a young age and teaching, that was my biggest reason why I actually allowed them to learn, do assessment, and apply it through a game. All right, thank you.